Catherine Cat Richardson die after sacrificing her liver to save Eva Thomas? That is a terrifying, heart-stopping question currently echoing through the sterile halls of Garland Memorial Hospital. The ultimate irony of this storyline is almost too painful to watch. After weeks of agonizing debates, bitter arguments, and sheer emotional manipulation, the unthinkable has happened. Eva has woken up from the liver transplant surgery, blinking against the harsh hospital lights, while Kat, the savior, the donor, the sister who gave up a piece of herself, has not. Kat is lying unconscious, her heart rate violently spiking as a frantic medical team rushes into her room. This was supposed to be a medical miracle, but instead it is turned into a psychological and physical nightmare. Let us set the scene and summarize the absolute chaos of the June 22nd episode. Both women went under the knife. The family paced the waiting room floors, waiting in pure agony. Dr. Arnold initially emerged with the glorious news that the transplant was a success. But in the world of daytime drama, a premature celebration is always a recipe for disaster. While Eva is slowly regaining her strength in her private room, Kat is fighting a losing battle. And let's be brutally honest here. The physical complication is only half the story. The psychological torment Kat endured before she ever set foot in that operating room is the real tragedy. Nicole Dupree is currently living every mother's absolute worst nightmare. She is sitting by her daughter's bedside, staring at the breathing tube, desperately praying for Kat to wake up. Nicole is a medical professional. She knows the statistics, and she knows that the risks for a living organ donor are incredibly severe. But her agony goes far beyond medical facts. Nicole is drowning in a sea of guilt because she knows she pushed Kat to take that initial compatibility test. Nicole did not want Kat's pre-surgery dread to be proven right. Kat was terrified. She had a visceral, bone-deep fear of this surgery, and Nicole is now haunted by the thought that she essentially walked her daughter to the slaughterhouse. Let's talk about the psychological toll this took on Kat. The mind-body connection is a very real, very powerful thing. Before the surgery, Kat was essentially a ticking time bomb. She was terrified of the procedure, yes, but she was also buckling under the crushing, suffocating weight of her family's expectations. She was being treated like a spare parts factory rather than a human being. The pressure from every single person in that hospital waiting room pushed her to the absolute brink. Is it any wonder that her body is now rejecting the trauma? Did the immense emotional blackmail literally break Kat's heart before the surgeon's scalpel even touched her skin? If Kat does not survive this ordeal, Martin Richardson is going to be destroyed by his own guilt. Let's not mince words. Martin's behavior leading up to this surgery was nothing short of emotional abuse. He cornered Kat when she was at her most vulnerable, aggressively pressuring her and throwing her fears back in her face. He had the audacity to call her Princess Kat, mocking her hesitation as if she were refusing to lend Eva a sweater, rather than undergoing major, life-altering organ removal. Martin hurled heavy, unforgivable words at his sister while she was in a state of sheer panic. It is a bitter, twisted irony that while Kat was fighting for her life, Martin was going live on television to announce his congressional primary victory. He won his election, but at what cost? If Kat slips into a permanent coma or passes away, Martin's political victory will turn to ash in his mouth. He will be forced to live with the agonizing reality that his bullying may have contributed to his sister's demise. Was Kat's sudden descent into a deep coma triggered by the extreme stress and pressure she faced from her own brother? It is a question that will undoubtedly haunt Martin for the rest of his life. And speaking of people who need to take a long, hard look in the mirror, let's talk about Isaiah Hawthorne. I will say it right now, I absolutely do not forgive him. When Kat was crying in the hospital stairwell, completely overwhelmed by the gravity of the situation, Isaiah offered her zero comfort. None. Instead of trying to understand her profound trauma, he weaponized it. He criticized her. He called her selfish. He sarcastically labeled her misrighteous. He demanded that she lay down her life for a woman who had previously slept with Kat's boyfriend and been involved in murder attempts against her. Isaiah's lack of empathy was staggering, and his harsh judgments only added to the insurmountable pressure crushing Kat's spirit. Then we have Leslie Thomas. Oh, Leslie. Where do we even begin with the sheer audacity of this woman? Leslie does not deserve a single ounce of forgiveness from the viewing audience. Throughout this entire ordeal, Leslie acted as if she was inherently entitled to Kat's body. She demanded Kat's liver for Eva without a shred of genuine justification or empathy for Kat's well-being. It genuinely felt as though Leslie wanted to steal Kat's life force and hand it to Eva on a silver platter. The hypocrisy of Leslie's demands is mind-boggling when you consider the history between these two families. Leslie and Eva owe Kat everything. Let's not forget that Leslie's affair with Ted and the subsequent revelation of Eva's existence completely destroyed Kat's perfect family life. They shattered Kat's world, broke her parents apart, and caused her immeasurable pain time and time again. Kat was forced to swallow her trauma and learn to accept the very people who ruined her life. Yet, when Eva needed a liver, Leslie expected Kat to simply forget the past and march into the operating room like a sacrificial lamb. But here is where the story takes a fascinating, deeply emotional turn. While Kat is crashing, Eva wakes up, and to Leslie's absolute delight, she immediately starts celebrating. Leslie is practically dancing around the hospital room, cutting up discharge papers to make decorations, and promising the universe that she is going to be a changed woman after this ordeal. Leslie casually brushes off Kat's critical condition, essentially saying that as long as Eva is awake, everything else will eventually be fine. It is a masterclass in tone-deaf, narcissistic parenting. Eva, however, is having none of it. Eva is not celebrating. In fact, Eva is profoundly unhappy, and her reaction proves that she possesses the self-awareness that her mother entirely lacks. Eva is not upset because she dislikes Kat. She is devastated because she fully comprehends the magnitude of what she has done to Kat's life. Eva knows that her very existence as Ted and Leslie's love child was a wrecking ball to Kat's universe. She knows how hard it was for Kat to even look at her, let alone accept her as a sister. Because Eva understands this dark history, she also understands the immense, agonizing pressure Kat must have felt before agreeing to the surgery. Eva knows that Kat did not do this out of pure, unadulterated sisterly love. She did it out of obligation, pressure, and a desperate desire to please their father, Ted. Eva strongly disagrees with Leslie's dismissive, celebratory attitude. She explicitly tells her mother that they owe Kat a profound, lifelong apology and a debt of gratitude that they can never truly repay. Eva realizes that there is no room for joy while Kat is lying in another room, hovering between life and death. How can they smile? How can they celebrate a successful transplant when the donor has not woken up? Eva's empathy extends to Nicole as well. She knows that Nicole must be living in a state of sheer torture, terrified that her daughter might die to save the child of her husband's mistress. The emotional complexity of this dynamic is absolutely brilliant writing. Eva is currently lying in her hospital bed, ignoring her mother's forced cheerfulness and praying desperately for Kat to wake up. Eva knows that if Kat dies, this miracle surgery will become a lifelong curse. If Kat perishes, Eva will never be able to live a happy, fulfilling life. She will forever be haunted by the knowledge that she dragged Kat into this mess and that Kat paid the ultimate price for Eva's survival. The blood would symbolically be on Eva's hands, and she knows it. So, where do we go from here? Will Kat pull through, or will Garland Memorial Hospital become the site of the ultimate tragedy? This storyline brilliantly forces us to question the ethics of family obligation and the devastating power of emotional manipulation. It proves that sometimes the wounds inflicted by our words are far more dangerous than the cut of a surgeon's knife. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Martin and Isaiah are to blame for Kat's critical condition? And will you ever be able to forgive Leslie? Keep watching, because this story is far from over.